Welcome to the Flip Lab, guys. Today I'm joined with Tino Luna.
What's up, brother?
What up, man? Super pumped to have you on here. Me and Tino met a few years back. He's in Phoenix. He's doing deals in Tucson. He started off his career. I met him. He was working for another investor, kind of doing acquisitions. He comes from a sales background. He is your creative finance guy, which I could learn a lot in that realm. So he's just kind of been in the flipping, wholesaling type space. But I love to see what you've done over now the past few years. You've been on your own and just kind of growing your team out here in Phoenix.
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me on. Super excited to be on. I love the podcast and love what you're doing. So appreciate being on. But second, just like you're saying, sales background. So I started investing in 2018 A lot of sales. Did some door knocking, some cold calling, moved up to acquisitions, built out a few sales teams, and then really started to spread those wings last year in 2021, where hopped into flipping. We did just over 20 flips last year in the Phoenix/Tucson area, which meanwhile we were doing direct to seller, wholesaling, and then some other, different forms of marketing, if you will. Creative finance, flipping. Probably won't focus so heavily on that. Maybe like transition to kind of what you're doing, like taking those really thick, meaty ones and flipping them. And then other than that, just kind of wholesaling. But yeah, I have kind of a background in quite a bit of things.
Yeah. And so I feel like we almost have like similar business models as far as like pretty lean. We're going direct to seller to find most of our deals and then actually flipping off of that. A lot of flippers, it's like you either have the wholesalers that go direct to sellers, they're selling to flippers, then you have the flippers looking to buy from wholesalers. But I always talk about like, if you want to, first get into flipping and you can figure out how to go direct to seller and then actually flip the house, you're just creating so much more spread for yourself where other things can kind of go wrong. So when you were first getting started out, I kind of want to know like what made you kind of decide after working in acquisitions that you wanted to start flipping out here in Phoenix?
So I'm sure you've heard this before, but like when you're a wholesaler and you do acquisitions, yes, you are an investor, but really you're a marketer, right? And so like I wanted to graduate to that level of actually being an investor. And I felt like that step was, okay, I either need to fix and flip or buy and hold. And that makes me an investor, right? And so I knew that's where the spread was. I knew one thing, if I could really master being direct to seller and sourcing the deals, then the rest of that after that would be pretty easy, right? So that's what I set out to conquer first, was sales, learning how to get right in front of the seller. And then from there I could maximize the monetization of it. So.
Yeah. And when you're talking about going direct to seller and obviously sales negotiation, that's something I'm really passionate about. Also sales background, I'm dealing with sellers all the time. What would you say to like the audience or a few of some of the biggest tips you would give to someone first time kind of getting on the phone or belly to belly with sellers, how to handle those situations?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the number one advice that I could give is just reps. So like everyone, including myself at a certain point, was afraid to hop on the phones. I know you come from a sales background, like you were used to being on the phones, you know what I mean? But a lot of people aren't, and so they try and overthink everything, like I need an exact script and I need to know this list and this and that. Like my advice is just get in front of a seller, whether it's on the phone or door knocking, and get those reps out of the way, because no matter who you are, unless you're a natural, which there are some people that are naturals and they do have that natural way of just talking to people, you're gonna suck on your first few hundred calls, right? So it's just reps and how quickly can you do it. And so like if you don't have any money, I recommend going and knocking on doors or, the driving for dollars, right?
Did you get deals knocking doors?
I had one deal knocking doors. I didn't knock doors for very long, but essentially the wholesaler that I worked with was like, yo, we're gonna have you start bird dogging first. Then once you kind of prove yourself there, I'll throw you on the phones. Then from there, you'll go to acquisition. So I had one deal that I actually lost. So it was a probate deal. I was direct to seller with the son. We were very close on negotiation. He ended up going with somebody that a probate attorney actually recommended. So I lost that. But I think door knocking, if you have no money, is the quickest way to get a deal, but you have to be very it's got to be a sniper approach, right? So like a lot of people talk about, oh, just go knock on random doors. Like, yeah, you're gonna run into some deals that way, but if you're talking like foreclosures are back, so like getting right in front of those sellers, those high paying sellers, is gonna be a pretty good approach.
Yeah, I've never door knocked personally. Besides like driving for dollars, I see like a messed up house, I would literally just like stop my car, knock on the door, see what happens. I said like, you got to just take action, and eventually, you know, good things will happen. But if you start bird dogging for a flipper and you just knock doors, like you can start your real estate investing career there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because the barrier to entry there is so low.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of different industries.
That's another recommendation I would make too. Like, especially in Phoenix, you know this. Like, it's hard to find the deal, easy to find the buyer. But if you want to even cut your curve a little bit quicker, go to somebody like yourself or like me that's actually flipping homes, or a Zach Keeps, or a big buyer, and say, hey, what are you looking for specifically? What neighborhoods are you looking for? And then go try and be that piece, because Zach is too busy, you're too busy. Thank God that I'm blessed and busy, but sometimes we're too busy to go find our own flips that quick, right?
So and I feel like a problem I'm seeing in Phoenix, and I don't do a lot of business in town too much. You know, my flipping business mostly in New Jersey, but one thing I'm seeing is just the amount of deals that are just getting daisy chained around. Yes. And talk to me a little bit, because you're more in the trenches here. Why do you think that's happening so much, especially in a market like here, where it's like everyone kind of knows the big buyers, right? They're sending deals to them, but then it's like 12 other wholesalers are like sending the same people the same deals.
Yeah. So I think it's because there is a lack of inventory here, and there's a lot of awesome programs that teach you from that second half on, right? So I think that's why it's so big here, because direct to seller in Phoenix is tough. Like, it's one of the hardest markets to get in front of sellers, because you've got 12 other people cold calling and sending them messages or text messages and sending direct mail.
72 sold on every fucking commercial.
Exactly, 72 solds all over the place. And then you've got Open Door, OfferPad. So it's a very competitive market. And I think people have lost that art of like direct to seller, because it's a lot of work, dude. Like, it's not hard work, but it is hard work in the fact that like there's a lot of reps that are involved, a lot of calls. You have a very fine business model where it's like you're producing a very high intent lead, but if you're cold calling all day long in Phoenix, it's a lot of dials. It's a lot of
banging your head against the wall, ton of tire kickers.
Exactly.
Now, do you take the approach when you're talking to those people, trying to quickly qualify them out? Or, I mean, I feel like here some people, due to the way hedge funds are buying and stuff like that, anyone who's willing to sell, some people are kind of hanging on the phones just trying to shoot their shot. What's your approach?
My approach is very similar to yours. So like, I try and disqualify as quickly as possible. I'm trying to figure out why you're not a good fit for us, right? So that's one thing that saves me, I guess, is like my mentality on the phone. Like, now that I've flipped a few houses, I understand like I truly am the end buyer. So why should you sell to me? Like, why are we a good fit? Whereas before, maybe I was like, kind of like that leaditis where you're like begging them almost to like sell you their house. Yeah. Where now it's, okay, why haven't you listed it? Okay, that, you know, like you're popping the bubbles of why haven't you listed it? Have you considered, you know, Open Door, OfferPad, that kind of stuff. And then once you pop all those balloons, then it's like, well, shit, we're the only good fit. Then at that point, negotiation's a lot easier. Yeah,
that's what I think too. It's like, you know, you have the seller, it's like, I'm just trying to figure out why the hell would you sell at a discount? Yeah. You know, like, sounds like this is like the most important financial decision of maybe your life. You know, like, I just don't understand why you would give away equity for convenience. Everyone wants the easy button, whether they're going to the food store. It's like, shit, dude, I Uber Eats way too much because I'm too lazy to go, you know, get some damn food, right?
Me too.
But, I mean, we're talking to these people like, I mean, this is, you know, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in home equity, where I push them really, really hard to just figure out, find that problem, find that situation, some type of motivation there.
Yeah, it's digging into pain at the end of the day. Like, and a lot of people don't like to use the word pain, but it is what it is. It's an emotion that is really hard to get over, right? If you have enough pain, you will sell for your equity. But at the end of the day, like, there's some moral controversy that goes back and forth between realtors and wholesalers. But at the end of the day, we're solving problems. So if you don't have a problem for me to solve, then we shouldn't be on the phone. Like, I'll direct you the right place to solve your problem. Yeah. But if we are, then I can help you solve your problem, then let's do it, right? Let's move forward.
I mean, my parents just sold their house without a realtor. I looked at all the comps, I ran the numbers, I helped them out. But FSBO, and it sold for full asking price. No realtors involved. They saved $40K in realtor commissions. Some realtors, they have problems with wholesalers, but you know, they have no problem with the whole industry of these sellers giving away all that equity when attorneys are getting paid $1,500, title companies making $1,000. So it is interesting sometimes that dynamic about how much hate the wholesalers get. But in my opinion, and when I've done wholesale deals, those are the sellers that are thanking me. They're always happy.
Exactly.
I'm really actually feeling like I'm fixing a problem. Am I getting paid good a lot of the times? Sure, but they don't have that many options. Not that many people are out there, like you said, when you're coming in with the authority of an actual end buyer, not that many people out there that can do that for them.
Right, exactly. And I think I would love to merge those two worlds, right? Because my wife is actually getting her realtor's license. But I think in the near future, I've talked to a couple guys, wholesalers and realtors are gonna have to work together at some point. And I think the quicker they can do that and create that symbiotic relationship, then everyone gets to win. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some of my best wholesale deals were referred by a realtor. And I still, like, that realtor still got paid, I got paid, we solved the problem for the seller. So like, if we can figure out how to work together, dude, like this market could change quickly.
There's great people in every industry, and there's bad apples too. It's like, I talk to just as many wholesalers who, yeah, they'll do whatever it takes, say whatever they can, doing shitty, scummy shit on the phones with sellers. But I also talk to realtors all the time that will say anything to get their 3% and their damn listing.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm kind of with you. It's like, we're kind of on the same team. There's a small portion of sellers that are a much better fit going the end route, you know, the end buyer route, just straight cash, working with a wholesaler or something like that.
Right.
Do you see regulation though? Like, it seems like the NAR is kind of really trying to get rid of wholesaling. Like, do you see a future of maybe no more assignments?
I don't know that they'll like get rid of assignments completely. I know that they're going to push for everybody to be licensed like they're doing in Chicago, and I think California will be next to follow. I will say, because of the way Arizona legislation is tipped, right, we're hopefully maybe one of the last ones to make that transition. But I don't think assignments will go away completely. I just think there's going to be a governing board to like set rules on how much an assignment can be made, or like just more rules in general with wholesaling.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like the Wild West, and I agree. It could be kind of tightened in, and I would say it's like, dude, if they got rid of wholesaling, it'd be great for my business.
Yeah.
As just a direct to seller end buyer.
Right.
I mean, that takes out a lot of those middlemen, and marketing is going to get a lot more effective. But I wouldn't want to see it go away either, because I think it is one of the best businesses if you got, you know, a hustle mentality and you got the work ethic. You can go from zero to making a couple $100,000, you know, in just a couple of years, which is pretty awesome.
And there's a couple, like, there's two ways to see it, right? So like a deal that we have direct to seller here in Phoenix, we sold it, and then it was resold, and then it was resold, and then it was resold. So like now title's pushing back on us because they're like, hey, there's 5 assignments on this chain. And so there's good and bad. Like, I want everybody to make money, but at the end of the day, someone has to perform so that we get paid, so the seller gets paid. So I'm all for wholesaling and even daisy chaining. I'm not crazy about it, but like, if someone's gonna make money and you can find an end buyer and resell your stuff, then cool. But just make sure that end buyer is actually gonna perform versus continue to sell it and sell it and sell it.
Yeah, I would like, I think for it to go a little further back to how it used to be. I think even before I got into the industry, from what I learned, which was, if you were a wholesaler, you built real relationships with buyers in that wherever, you know, people are flipping at.
Yeah.
And then when you found a deal, you went to that buyer, and then he would buy the deal. Everyone got paid. You knew the deal was going to perform. I felt like recently now with, like, you know, Facebook Marketplace and all these different avenues and email chains, you know, people have kind of lost sight of working with maybe those for sure closer buyers,
VIP buyers,
to squeeze a little bit out of, you know, that newbie flipper that's desperate for a deal. He might pay more, but you know what? Is he going to show up the day of closing every time like you would, right, or like we would? Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I would like to see the industry maybe get a little more back to that, because I don't want to see it where there's too many deals that just aren't, being closed, and you're leaving sellers in bad positions. I think that's not good for anyone.
And that's going to expedite the whole governing board process of wholesalers, right? Like people doing bad business ultimately will ruin wholesaling. So
yeah, no, totally. So talk to me a little bit. Now we got a damn helicopter coming over here. Your business model right now. Talk to me kind of like what the structure is looking like.
So Nick Newling is one of my partners. Yeah. And then Dustin is another one of my partners. But essentially right now what we're doing is trying to build a nationwide buying brand, right?
Okay.
So we're focused on here in the Phoenix market. We're direct to seller. A lot of them we're probably going to take down. If not, we're going to take down the best ones and then assign the ones that we think, we wouldn't want to get into. But the goal is to build a nationwide buying brand that will go into different markets. Like we'll start here, probably go into Texas next and Florida. It's called thehomebuyingteam.com. So that's really where I'm focused right now. But as far as being lean, it's us partners where we've actually got 2 visionaries, 1 integrator / visionary. He's kind of a unicorn. And then we have VAs. So we have 6 VAs. And then we do some high intent marketing, which is people go to Google and they say, I need to sell my house. And that comes into our lead system. And then we have 2 American guys that do a mixture of scraping the MLS, a little bit of JV type deals where we would commit as the buyer. And then they do a little bit of acquisition, but not a ton yet.
Do you guys ever just double close, as is flips? Me and Steve do a lot of that where instead of assigning, maybe we'll just take title and then maybe do nothing to it or just clean it out and then immediately just put on the MLS. Yeah. Do you guys do stuff like that too?
Those are my favorite. Yeah. I would prefer to do those over anything because there's some stuff we've been in this one project for 6 months and it seems like there's a never-ending money pit that we're throwing into, right? But the best stuff for us, we had one in Florence where we closed on it, literally didn't even have to do anything other than clean the carpet, repaint a little bit, and it was right back on the market. So those are my favorite ones.
Yeah, we're just finally finishing probably our worst flip. And it took literally probably from the day we bought it to by the time it's gonna actually close, close to a year. And it wasn't even that big of a project, but we knocked out a couple walls. We needed permits for everything. New Jersey takes forever. So we look back at it and we're like, you know what? If we would have just kind of cleaned it up, sold it for $50K less, but not take out all the walls, make it all new, we probably would have made the same profit.
Right.
But saved ourselves, 8 months.
There's a lot of guys that do that high-end stuff, right? Templeton Walker is one of my favorite buyers.
Yeah, him
actually.
And Jem are
him
great,
and Jem are amazing. Brandon Arter and Lucas, they're one of my favorite buyers as well. Those are the guys that we call our VIP buyers here in Phoenix. As soon as we get a direct deal, it goes to Jem, Temp, or Jeff, which they're all in that same nucleus, or Brandon and Lucas, and those are our 2 favorite buyers. But they go over the top on their stuff, but they get a good return. They buy in the right neighborhoods to go over the top and put those nice fixtures and get the return on their investment. But I just don't have that same luck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, everyone does a little bit different style.
Yeah, I get a lot of shit on TikTok. We'll post our flips and they're like, it looks like shit. I'm like, dude, the house is selling for $240. We can't go that nice with it.
Right.
The market's just not there for it. No matter, we could put $200,000 into the nicest fixtures. There's just not anyone in that market that would buy for that type of prices. We don't have these people from California moving into, Phoenix is one of the hottest markets, around. So, but it's a different model. Yeah. I'd like to try some high-end stuff though. It seems a little more fun.
It would be really fun, and they're buying in Scottsdale, Templeton.
So they did the one on TPC.
TPC is amazing. It turned out amazing, and they got $100,000 over asking price, first day or something like that. So, they're crushing it in that model. I just think you have to be a little bit more, your foundation has to be pretty damn sturdy to go chase that kind of ARV.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. Yeah. Now, are you holding any properties?
So I have one in Georgia, and then I have one that we use our office off of 10th Street in Moon Valley. Those are the only 2. I'm looking to get into more holding this year, but more on a creative finance stance. The subject to the seller finance, buying on a wrap. But eventually I want to push to like creating notes and being a note holder and note seller. That's kind of like my opinion is like graduating to that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Like you want
like
to just
flipping's like very active,
Right.
and rentals, it's like, dude, it's not that passive. It's still active.
It's very active.
But okay, a little more passive than flipping, and like not as much. Like I know me sometimes I'm like, where's the next flip coming? Once you have all that rent money coming in, you're kind of like, don't have that anxiety the same way. But then I feel like the next step is kind of getting more into the lending and just being the note holder.
Yeah, big time. So I know enough to buy on wrap and sell on wrap. So I think that is going to be the next evolution for us, is targeting like the lower income areas where we can buy and then re-wrap that to an end buyer that's going to live in the property.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Me and Steve, like this year, we're trying to focus more on kind of building up the rental portfolio. I think what we're focusing more on, because, you know, we're good at finding deals deep over in New Jersey, so just burning them out, cashing out like a little bit of money, so we're still making some now money, but then we're holding on to properties. Are you guys trying to burr properties too, or?
Yeah, so if we can burr into it,
Get all your money out.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It's hard to do in Phoenix, I guess, right?
It is, but it isn't. Like, it just depends on what your model is. So, like, you guys are pretty capitalized. For us, we're still in that mode where it's like we're trying to turn and burn and create as much capital as we can. So when we find the right property and we can do the burr, like for my own personal home. So I have a house in Surprise that I want to Airbnb because it's right across the street from the Royals campus.
Okay.
So it would crush Airbnb. So I want to, and plus I want to be out of Surprise. It's so damn far from everything. But so
Come to the East Valley, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna end up Airbnb that one, and if I can find a property to burr into as my personal home, then that's what I'm gonna do. Probably in the next 6 months.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I was talking to Steve about this. He's like, I think we made a mistake. We sold too many properties. We should have held on more. But I'm like, dude, we were like brand new to like the full-time investor game. Like, I think it was important for us to really establish that we could like consistently make a lot of money. Then who knows, we burnt a couple properties, but it's like you have like 2-3 rentals making you a couple $100. That's not doing much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the smart move long term, but it's a longer grind doing it that way. And I think when you're starting out, figure out how to make a lot of money in the now, and then once you have a bunch of money in the bank or kind of a little nest egg, you can start holding on to more.
Even on top of that, so like the reason I recommend, my personal belief is like finding the off-market deals, being really good at being that scavenger and finding the off-market opportunity. Because if you can do that and get really good at that and then capitalize yourself, whether it's like saving a bunch of money in the bank, obviously you always want to leverage other people's money, but like if you're good at that and then also raising funds, like building a good size fund, like $20 million, then you control the deal from start to finish, and you can start hanging on to stuff where like, in a dream world, I would love for us to hang on to every property we buy, because at the end of the day, that's where your wealth is built, not you can be rich and make quick money, but that's where your family's gonna be fed in 2 generations. You know what I mean? So that's the goal right now is, okay, we're good at this piece, let's figure out this piece so we can marry them together and keep as many properties as we can.
Yeah, I feel like we're on the same page there. Now, how do you guys fund most of your deals? Private or hard money?
Private and hard. So we use private for the gap, and then hard between a couple different lenders here in Phoenix. But yeah, usually we're looking for like 85 to 100% money, and then we'll either gap that plus the construction costs. So it's a mix of both.
Yeah, purchase price out here expensive, man.
Dude.
Compared to what we're used to.
It's crazy. Like
those hard money loans aren't cheap. You have a bunch of flips going on at a time.
They're not, dude. And so that's what we learned. So I learned the hard way this year, actually. June, July, I went out and I was like, I'm freaking buying everything, right? And so I think June we bought like 6 properties. July we bought like another 6. And then it felt good, felt cool, right? Because we were like, yeah, we're this big buyer. But then we didn't have the construction crews to do it in a timely basis.
So projects, taking long.
So much money in hard money costs that, you know, our profitability is still there. We're still coming out on top, but we could have made a lot more money if we were just precise about the process and didn't buy so much and just hammered out the ones that were quick and easy. You know what I mean?
What were like on the fix and flips? What were you averaging in the Phoenix market?
So we were looking at, our goal is 10%. So on the especially on the higher price stuff like 600,000, like we weren't even looking at it if it was a 10% return. But average for us is about $40,000 on a turn, which is nothing compared to you. In Phoenix, 40 is a decent turn.
It's like I said, it's different markets, man. Like I feel like here, you know, there is more opportunity in general. Yeah. Almost everything, like you can figure out a way to make money on. Like Jersey, we get a bunch of leads that no one even wants. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So just different ways of kind of doing it. I feel like if you are in Phoenix, you kind of have to either go. What I've seen is kind of volume on like the cheaper stuff, or find kind of a niche in like the higher end kind of luxury stuff where maybe you could make, you know, 6 figures plus on those. Yeah. But those are risky too, man.
Dude, it's both a risk and like that's the model we were going after. It was like, okay, can we do as many as we can with that $35,000 to $40,000 profit margin and make some money, right? But you have to have the crews in place. You have to have the processes, the people. And so that's something we didn't have. And we ate shit on a couple of projects and we made good money on others. And so it was all a learning process.
And was 2021 your first full year
of flipping?
And like, right, like on your own, doing your thing, right?
Yeah.
What was the biggest, you know, takeaway from your first year, and where do you see kind of adjustments in 2022 for you?
So I was really excited about the flipping side, which I'm still excited about it, but like I said, we definitely want to like take that stuff that's bigger profit, direct to seller. I did buy a lot of deals off of like other wholesalers, so I'll probably tone down on that a little bit and just take our direct to seller stuff. But the biggest thing I'm trying to focus on is creating processes and systems. Like everyone, it's a buzzword, right? But like
automate or delegate.
Yes, exactly.
Systems.
But if you don't have that, like you can't really successfully call it a business. You know what
totally.
I mean? And so that's what we're focused on now. And it's the opposite of my personality. Like I have ADHD. I'm fucking all over the place all the time. And so to sit down and try and write out systems and processes drives me nuts. But I know that if I don't set those up, like in 6 months, I'm still gonna be doing the same shit, and it's still a hustle.
Same. We're in the same boat, dude. Yeah. I feel like this year, hopefully, we both talk in another year, and we figured out kind of those things, because we got to work on systems and stuff too. But I think it's a little better to spend a little extra time in your business than on it if you're starting out your first 100%. Few years, my opinion. So people want to find you, Tino. What do they got to do?
Tino Luna across all the platforms. So Instagram's just Tino Luna, Facebook. I don't do Twitter so much, but yeah, all across all the platforms, it's just Tino Luna. Shoot me a DM if you guys need help on sales, creative finance, whatever it is. I don't have like a coaching program or anything, but I'm here to help.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Voice just kept in there, fucking was screaming at the Cowboys game all weekend when we lost, so had to deal with that, man. But hey, great having you on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.